like literally holding. Should we all have microphones? We hold, pass it.
Yes.
Oh, you're right. We all ready? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of December 4th. This summer, I'd like to call Pastor Tom from Calvary Baptist Church to come forward to lead us in the invocation. So if everyone would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge to the flag.
Join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity tonight to be able to gather as a city, as a town, as a family, Lord. And I pray that the things that are discussed in this room tonight, Lord, that they would bring glory and honor to your name, Lord. I pray for wisdom. I pray for unity. I pray for clarity for those on the commission and for those in this room right now, Lord, that we'd be able to come together and discuss matters that are important to each one of us, and that we would be able to have resolution, that we'd be able to have progress and be able to move forward. Lord, thank you for this time of year as we get to celebrate Christmas and just all the lights that are around, and the reason that we get to celebrate is because of your son, Jesus. So be with us tonight. We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Tom. At this time, we have a presentation of an Eagle Scout project by Scout Bearing 20. Sorry, Scott Barrett 20.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Barrett Twining completed an Eagle Scout project with us at Folly Farm to help us with our new chickens. So I want to introduce Barrett, and then he's going to share with you his project.
Thank you, everyone. As she said, I'm Barrett Twining. I completed my Eagle Scout project at Folly Farms. I built them 3 chicken coops and an enclosure, so I prepared some pictures and stuff of that for you tonight. So first, we did a lot of planning and funding. It took about 6 months. We found a good location for the project at Folly Farms. It's behind the existing, the yellow house on the property. They had an existing coop that we refurbished, so we found a design similar to that. And then we also planned for the fencing to go around it. Folly Farms supplied some of the parts and the food for the volunteers. The Lowe's of Tarpon Springs gave us a great discount on materials. The Lions Club of Safety Harbor funded the majority of the project. And the Enforcers Bike Club donated some money that we also used for food for the volunteers. So I have a lot of photos. I like taking photos. So this is the before photos of the site. As you can see, it was pretty overgrown. And you can see that fence that's attached to the existing shed that we end up removing. Over on the left-hand side of this one, you can see the existing coop. So we refurbished, we painted that one, and screwed the roof down because it was only held on by like 2 screws. So we have some photos of the construction. We had 2 days where most of the volunteers, we had a great turnout. We had about 20 to 30 people each day, which I was very happy with. Overall, we had about 400 volunteer hours that went into the project. So here you can see we removed the existing fence. They're digging new post holes. And then here you can see they got tired of digging the post holes, so we rented an auger. Yeah, because each of the coops, the base, each of those legs goes into the ground so they sit level, but so they're not going anywhere. So yeah, we rented one so it was a little bit easier for them. This was after the first day of construction. You can see we put up some of the fence and the base of the coops. So here's the second day. We're moving that existing base into position. We also trenched a foot down all around it to bury the chicken wire so that animals can't dig under it. Here's everyone having lunch. You can see me in the background over there. Yeah, we had lots of great food. Thanks to the city for providing that. Here is some of our volunteers screwing the roof on for the coops. And so we have the before versus after. So that's the before photo and after. Yeah. Thank you. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'm very proud of it. And then here's a few additional photos. All right, so thank you. I now have the pleasure of introducing the City of Safety Harbor's first real fun chickens.
Oh, we turned that off earlier. Yeah, you can turn it off.
As you can see, our chicken coops are amazing, and we are very grateful for what Barrett and his troop did for Folly. The girls will be moving into those coops tomorrow, so they need a little more prep work, and they needed to grow a little more before we can move them out. They'll be moving out tomorrow. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. We just keep the chickens for the rest of the meeting, or does that work?
I'm just going to roll right next to the next presentation. It's me. Fright Night at Folly Farm event proceeds. So we had our Fright Night event at the end of October. So I just wanted to give a quick recap on our event. It was October 27th and 28th. What is Fright Nights? It's a community event which includes a haunted trail, children's area with games and activities, and it is also a benefit for several groups that participate. Our benefactors this year are the Safety Harbor Museum, the First Presbyterian Church, Safety Harbor Garden Club, Common Grounds Garden, Kiwanis Club, Harbor Dish, and Alligator and Wildlife Discovery Center. In addition to that, we also have another scout troop that is out there to man our fire pit, and then they sell concessions, so it's a fundraiser for them as well. East Lake High School, our volunteers come from East Lake High School. This is their third year joining us, their National Honor Society, but this year we're proud to announce that our home high school, Countryside High, joined us with their National Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, and Interact Club, along with volunteers that come from the benefactors. A few more photos of our amazing volunteers. Nomeo was even included in this year's event. Some shadow dancing, line entertainment. We had performances by the Wicked Women's Dance Troupe. And then our sponsor and volunteers for our trail guides and followers that come from Renaissance Real Estate. So this year, we sold 1,300 haunted trail tickets and 215 children's area wristbands. Approximately 2,000 plus visitors. Not everyone buys a ticket. Some people are just walking the park that night. Over 160 volunteers logging over 800 volunteer hours. Absolutely amazing. We could not put on this scale of an event without all of their efforts. The proceeds were just over $7,000, so all benefactors will receive a check for $1,035. So pre-event, we have a volunteer meeting. That's a picture of our volunteers walking the trail and going over all the logistics. And what we explain to all of the students and volunteers is not only is it a fun event, but what they are doing with their time gives back to 7 nonprofits who then in turn are giving back to the community through programs and services that they provide. So it's really spectacular. So at this time, I'd like to call up any representative from our benefactor groups to receive their check. And Mayor, if you want to come down too for a photo. And if any benefactors want to say anything about the event, you're welcome to.
I'd like to say 4 things. The first is Florida State got job the other day, okay? But moving on, Autumn and Shannon did a fantastic job, and hands off and applause for them. This weekend we had the parade, and it was really the first parade that I've been in, and Joe Cooper did a fabulous job. So way to go, Joe. And finally, this weekend we have the Crafts Fair. It's our 43rd annual Crafts Fair, so come on out and enjoy. Thank you.
Does anyone else want to say anything before we do a picture? All right, well, don't run away. I think we're doing a picture.
You gotta get the chickens in it, right?
Okay, let me squeeze right in here. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, I'm done.
Bye-bye. Good night, chickens.
So Matt, I know someone was complaining about the audio earlier, but now it's really loud.
It might just be how close someone is to that microphone. We'll see. Let's see what the next.
Yeah. Okay, so next up is the recognition of the 2023 Fall Safety Harbor interns. So at this time, I would like to call Edine Granette and Ayin Ku, hope I pronounced that right, to come forward, please. Anyone introduce this, or do you want me to just roll right into?
We can roll right into it.
Okay. So we had a internship program, and these are our 2 interns, and I got a couple nice things to say about each one of them. Who worked in the fire department? So that was you? Okay. Did I say your name right? Aiden. Of course, Aiden. So I have a certificate for you. We got a gift certificate for you. And just a couple things. Aiden worked in the fire department. He was a student intern. He is a high school student at Countryside High School, where I went, who has had the opportunity to be placed at the City of Safety Harbor's fire department, which began this past September. Derived from the executive internship program through Pinellas County Schools. As an admirable young man, he works hard to succeed in school and in his activities. During Aiden's time with the Safety Harbor Fire Department, he has completed ride-alongs with Safety Harbor Fire Department crews and observed calls, as well as assisted with minor projects within the department. So Aiden, thank you very much. Why don't you just tell me how to pronounce your name correctly?
It is Ian.
Ian. Of course. All right, and with regards to Ian, he worked in the engineering department as an intern. Ian is a graduating high school student. He's an honor high school student at Countryside High School under his participation with the National Honor Society Club and numerous advancement placement honor classes. Ian had the great opportunity to be placed with the City of Safety Harbor's engineering department in September, where he developed many relationships with many team members from different departments and got a better image of what the civil engineer's working environment within Safety Harbor looks like. Not only that, but he got to learn many aspects of the processes that contributed to ongoing projects in the city, which he enjoyed very much. Ian has applied to the University of Central Florida and the University of South Florida to use his creativity for architecture in the future, considered interior design at Florida State University as a second major. Besides school, Ian is an energetic and active individual who loves to play all types of sports, but attends volleyball tournaments because he enjoys volleyball the most. Ian is so determined about the world of art and technique and wishes to use his creativity to provide cities and states with beauty through his hard work. So Ian and Aiden, thank you very much for helping the City of Safety Harbor out. You two are going to get a gift certificate, and I'm going to come down and present these certificates to both of you. All right, so moving along to the audience to be heard portion of the meeting. Is there anyone here that wishes to be heard that an item that's not on the consent agenda or that's on the regular agenda, please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the commission. Okay, moving along to the consent agenda. First item is approval of the November 20th meeting minutes. Second is approval of a contract with the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections Office for conducting in conjunction municipal election on March 19th, 2024. 3, approval of facility use agreement with the Safety Harbor Little League for 2024. And 4, approval of the fire department to receive equipment through the Firehouse Subs grant program. Does anyone want to pull any of these? All right, do we have a motion?
Motion for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 4.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving along to public hearings. First one is adoption of ordinance 2023-06. I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2023-06, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Safety Harbor, Florida, submitting to the city electors a proposed amended charter which amends Section 5 regarding review of the charter and ordinances, amends Section 9 regarding gender neutrality, create Section 12 regarding Baranoff Park, amend Section 19 regarding commission vacancies, amend Section 21 regarding appointment of vice mayor, amend Section 25 regarding special commission meetings, amend Section 33 regarding procedure for filing petitions, amend Section 54 regarding candidate qualifying statement, submitting to the city electors such proposed amendments to the charter, including amending the ordinance review process to require the city manager to present proposed changes to the city ordinances annually, providing that the words he and his apply to all natural persons regardless of subjective gender identification, requiring referendum vote for any transfer or land use change of Baranoff Park, requiring that commission vacancies be appointed from a pool of applicants, requiring a vice mayor to be appointed no later than the last day of March in absence of an election, extending the number of hours required for written notice of special commission meetings, extending the number of days in which a notice of intention to amend an initiative petition certified insufficient for lack of signatures must be given, amending the candidate qualifying period, providing for publication in accordance with the requirements of law, providing for a citywide referendum election to be held in conjunction with the regular election on March 19th, 2024, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this has been reading of ordinance number 2023-06 on second and final reading by title only. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. Any questions or comments?
My comment is still that we should, Charter Review Commission, or committee rather, ask that we put in term limits. So I'll just echo my, I guess, objection to the proposed charter amendments without that proposed language. Oh, sorry. The proposed charter amendments do not include a proposal by the Charter Review Committee, which was to add, as part of the amendment, term limitation. 2 terms, 2 consecutive terms was what they were asking to be placed on the ballot this next election. So I'm just voicing my opposition to the proposed charter amendments without that specific language therein.
All right, this is a public meeting. Anybody from the audience wish to be heard on this agenda item? If so, please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Sharon McCauley, 226 Short Street. I agree with Commissioner Steingel. The residents did ask for term limits to be on there. This is supposed to be a democracy. We would like to have the choice whether to have them or not. It's not fair just for you to make up your mind. It's not going to affect any of you. And I don't know, Carlos, for a while you said that term limits were good. Cliff, you said that you didn't like term limits because if people were doing a good job, then they should be able to go on and on. But that's questionable, whether a good job is being done. There's a lot of things that people are not happy with. So it's good to have a mixture of people going and give people a choice. It's just not fair to take that right away from them.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hi, Laura McCullough, 1858 Lake Cypress Drive. And I would just like to echo that. Not that anybody's doing a bad job, just that I think term limits are good because we get a turnover of people and different ideas. And I'd like to support Eddie Steingold's point. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Carol McNamee, 222 12th Avenue South. I see no reason why we can't submit this to the voters. Is there a reason? I mean, I think it's really simple enough. If you're doing a good job, the voters will say, okay. So I find it really backward to think that you don't want term limits. The term limits, even the President of the United States has term limits. So.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
232 Lotus Drive, Safety Harbor, Florida. I wish the commission would be considerate about the term limits and let the citizens vote. And I have been a resident for Safety Harbor for over 30 years. I have voted every single election, and I think it's very important for the people to voice their opinion, and that's it.
Hello, Mike Gary. I live at 1024 Conant Avenue, and I too agree that we should have term limits because the elections don't always get a good result. Some people are afraid to run the elections because of getting bullied or all this other stuff that's going on. And I know a lot of people don't want to get up here and talk, but if we could get like a show of hands, people that want term limits, would that be okay?
I mean, this
Anyone?
is...
Anybody who wants term limits, hands up in the air? Anyone? That's it? All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Jereen Dotson, 400 Fifth Avenue South. The Charter Review Committee was appointed to go through our charter and make recommendations. One of the recommendations that they made was to have term limits considered to be put on the election for the voters to decide. And they made that recommendation, and the commission turned down the recommendation in that area. I feel like we should have faith in what the Charter Review Committee recommended. And I want to make it clear that you're not deciding whether or not to have term limits. What we're actually doing is putting on the ballot for the voters to decide whether or not there should be term limits. And so I agree with Andy. I believe, Nancy, you also agreed with it. So I wish the commission would consider what the voters would like to see.
Thank you.
Hi, Dan Johnson, 1015 Conant Avenue. As the lady before me just said, the voters should have the freedom to vote for whoever they want to. So term limits seem like a bad idea to me. If the person isn't doing a good job, you don't vote for them.
Anyone else?
Michelle Kenyon, 8 Fernery Lane. I'm not saying that you don't do a great job. I'm not saying you haven't done a great job. What I'm saying is that, as we've already stated, in the United States, we have a certain term limit. I feel that we have a group of people who are running Safety Harbor. And I feel that a lot of people, especially people who have lived here, myself, 30 years, have the right to vote who is going to sit in these chairs and make decisions for me. I'm not disappointed. I'm just surprised that you would not allow fresh thoughts, new ideas, to come and sit in these chairs. You've done a great job. It's time to step aside and let new people come in. It is our right to vote in the United States of America. We voted you in, and we should be allowed to vote the next one. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Haley Ray, 1340 Harbor Hills Parkway. I would like to talk about the term limits as well. There is a reason why in our country we have term limits. One of the major reasons we have term limits is to fight corruption that might exist within any level of government. Allowing the people to vote if they want term limits is the best way to move forward. It should not solely fall on the heads of the people in control. It should go to the voters for them to make the choice. It should not be about who is on the ballot, whether they are doing a good job or not, and the term limit is, like Joe said in A Cup of Joe, that he already has term limits because he runs every 3 years. Last year, however, there was no election. He ran completely unopposed. It's not because he's doing this great job, it's because people are afraid. So this is why term limits are coming into place. And I think it's very important to let the voters decide.
Good evening, Nadine Nickerson, Spring Nickerson, 280 Tucker Street. Pinellas County had a vote on term limits, and fortunately didn't. And I thought I was interested when term limits came to be for the state of Florida. And I thought, well, we'll see how this goes. Well, I don't like how it goes because I feel like if you have to run, people get to vote. And that's how it happens every time. And the fact that if you only give so much time, you lose the institutional knowledge. And also with the fact that, like Oldsmar has a term limit, but all you have to do is stay out a year and you can run again.
So every people that have a seat and are voted in, they have to run again. And if someone is afraid to run, well, then they may be afraid to make another decision that would be important for the city. So I feel that to not have term limits is fine. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or a motion?
Well, I'm just going to say, since it was brought up, I am opposed to term limits, and I understand the people's views, and I appreciate you all expressing your opinion. When this item came up, I find it interesting when people are saying that it is a democracy and we have a right to vote, but to me, term limits is a way of limiting an individual's ability to even put their name on the ballot. So to me, you're taking the vote away from an individual. And the people themselves should be the ultimate person to make the decision. If you want somebody in that seat, you should be the one that makes that decision. I don't believe that taking somebody who's either doing perhaps a good job and taking them out because you may or may not believe in their position or their party or for whatever particular reason, it's an erosion of an individual's right. And I just don't believe that. Ms. Nickerson, I believe she's correct when she says that certain people are there, they have some institutional knowledge, and they make a decision. I've been in 4 terms. I mentioned before this whole discussion that I was not going to run for a 5th term. It's my decision to put my name out there, just as it's your decision to determine whether I should sit here or not. And I think that that's important for anybody. And to take that away, I think, is against the entire feel of the country, the Constitution. I just feel that that's something that's wrong, and I just wanted to make sure that I let you know that. Because I regardless of what the vote is, I still believe that taking away an individual's right to represent us and to participate in our government is very wrong. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that when I cast my vote. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add in something very similar. I think that by putting in term limits, you are actually restricting the voters' rights to vote, complete vote, because it's one less person or a couple extra people that will not be able to run. Is that really, giving rights to everybody? Is that giving everybody a fair right? At the end of the day, if we do a bad job, or every 3 years, the voters have the ability to go ahead and reject us, which is 100% in the voters' control. So term limits, all they do is put more restrictions. I think there is something to say that there is experience that's needed. I'm not saying that we're that I'm the greatest thing to happen, but I'm up for election. I put myself out for election every 3 years. Last election, there was nobody that opposed me, but I've been in heated elections for 3 times, and it's really not the most pleasant thing to go through a campaign. It's difficult, to go through a campaign. So it's not like somebody's actually giving me something. There's a lot of work to get elected, and to me, I can't really talk about the federal government or what the Supreme Court does or the President of the United States does. I could just explain to you how it is here in local Safety Harbor. This is more of we're here to support the community. We're here, it's practically a volunteer type position. We're here to serve you. And the day that we're not here to serve you, or the day that you guys feel that we're not serving you, you can oust us by not voting for us.
Thank you. And I guess I'll chime in since you want to go first. Yeah, I'll just chime in and I'll just kind of, I've spoken to this issue in the past and, I think I've mentioned that I do understand some of the arguments for term limits. And I think some of those arguments are more applicable where I've stated in where there's a larger map, where there's gerrymandered districts, where, where there's an electoral college, say, be it the President of the United States. But in Safety Harbor, there are no gerrymandered districts. We all run citywide. If we were to do term limits, then the people that want term limits would supersede the will of people that may want to vote for anyone who they want to vote for, whether it be an incumbent. But if you flip it around, then how am I trying to say this? But the flip side of that coin is with term limits, the people that would want to vote for an incumbent, maybe that would go past the proposed term limits, would not have that ability. So it's almost like the people that would want term limits would still have the ability to vote the people out. So I'm like, I don't understand entirely the argument that, people should have a choice, because there is a choice. I mean, it's not like we're up here for 20 years at a time or something. We have they're 3-year terms, and every 3 years, anyone has to put their name on the ballot. They have to go out. They have to be willing to run against somebody that has a different platform or different ideas. They got to put the work in. They got to knock on doors, talk to voters, and so, I mean, I don't think we're taking away anyone's right by not moving forward on term limits. People have the right to vote for whoever they want, and anyone at any time can run for any of these offices. And as I stated at my, Cup of Joe with Joe, it is, it's a privilege to be up here and serve, but anyone can do it, and, anyone has the right to run. So those are just my thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor. I also changed my mind, or I did change my mind. My feelings are very similar to Ms. Nickerson's and to the majority on this. However, I got that final hour email indicative of the fact that the state was considering forcing term limits on the county commissions statewide. And I was so incensed because one of my focuses since I've been serving has been home rule and has been state, stop telling local municipalities what to do and how to spend our money and how to do our business. So don't you dare, Tallahassee, tell county commissions what to do. Let them vote, let the voters vote. And then I had to look at myself, and I looked at this issue, and I realized I was telling our voters, I know what's best for you in this instance, and I'm not going to let you vote on this issue in a referendum. And I taught middle school for years, middle school and high school. A referendum is a vote on an initiative. I mean, over and over, I hammered that into my kids. And so my conscience started bothering me. I started saying, you've taught this democratic principle, but you're telling the voters that you're not going to put it to referendum. And so you're really negating what you're saying about not wanting the state to tell you what to do. You're telling the voters what to do. So that's why I changed my mind, and that's why you'll hear nay tonight from me. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
And just let me be clear. My vote against this isn't because I'm for term limits. It's because we appointed a charter review committee, and they came back with a suggestion, and they proposed it, and it still has to go to the voters to get approved. So just because it's on the ballot doesn't mean there will be term limits. So my position is we appointed people from the community, and I believe they're the ones who proposed this. So that's my reasoning, is that I support what they proposed, and all their proposals we're going forward with except that one. So I even suggested that maybe you make it 3 terms instead of 2. But anyway, that's my position. It doesn't matter whether I'm for it or against it. It was something that was proposed by the community. So, and the community would ultimately make a decision on it. So, thank you.
Yeah, we had closed public comment, so we're gonna. No, I'm sorry. We're moving. Yeah, we opened it up already, so we're gonna move forward. Okay, any further comments, or anyone wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-06, proposing amendments to the city charter, and calling for a referendum elections to submit proposed city charter changes to the citizens for approval.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion passes 3-2. Moving on, we have ordinance 2023-11.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2023-11, an ordinance of the City of Safety Harbor, Florida, providing for the zoning designation of recently annexed property, 2023-46 ANZO, located at 3339 Irwin Street East, Safety Harbor, Florida, finding the request consistent with the review standards of Section 226.03 of the Safety Harbor Comprehensive Zoning and Land Development Code, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this has been a reading of ordinance number 2023-11 on second reading by title only.
Mayor and Commissioners, since your first reading, we have not made any changes to the ordinance. We have not heard from the public. Thank you.
Anyone from the audience wish to be heard on ordinance 2023-11? Any questions or comments from the commission? Do we have a motion?
Move approval of ordinance number 2023-11.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. So next up is new business. The first item is approval or denial of a sidewalk waiver.
Good evening. For the record, Cecilia Chen, Community Planner, GIS
None of us
Analyst.
have internet. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
I don't think none of us have internet, so we're just a little stuck.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Before you is a sidewalk waiver application for 705 Second Street North. So here's an aerial map of the site. So this is a vacant site located on the corner of Second Street North and 7th Avenue North. So the applicant is proposing to build a single-family residential on this lot, and the sidewalk construction is required. So here's a photo of the site, and as you can see, there's a sidewalk on the Second Street North over here, and this is an ADA ramp for handicapped accessibility, but the sidewalk is not continued onto 7th Avenue North, and this is a clear picture of the site. Those sidewalk along on the west side of 7th Avenue North. And as you can see on the GIS map over here, this is like the ADA ramp, and then there's no sidewalk until Dr. MLK Jr. Street North. But there are sidewalk on the opposite side of 7th Avenue North, and the sidewalk is consecutive. According to Code Section 15201, the City Commission may permit a sidewalk waiver if one of the following conditions are met. And then this application satisfies condition number 6. This property is served by an alternative pedestrian system. So tonight, the City Commission may approve or deny the sidewalk waiver. If it's approved, then the applicant will be subject to a fee in lieu payment of $5,650, which will be placed into the sidewalk fund for improvement within the city. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Does staff have a recommendation on this?
Staff believe that this property satisfied criteria number 6, and the City Commission may permit the sidewalk waiver.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Anyone from the audience wish to be heard on this item? And do we have a motion?
Move approval of the sidewalk waiver.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next up is, Safety Harbor Library. You want to take this one?
Michelle's gonna start with the agenda backup, and then Lisa's gonna do a presentation. No one has internet? We're fixing that right now. It might just be too many people connected to it right now, so we're working on that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Giuliani, Engineering Director. On July 19, 2023, the city issued an invitation for bids for the Safety Harbor Library first floor lighting upgrades and second floor addition. We received 4 timely offers from Erickson and Lindstrom, All-Phase General Contractors, Blackwater Construction, Blades Construction Company. The two low bidders, Erickson and Lindstrom, and All-Phase General Contractors, provided a presentation to city staff on October 19th. Each company presented their profiles, current workloads, similar project experience, and understanding of the library project scope of services. All-Phase General Contractors provided the best overall presentation. They understood the scope of work and specifications associated with the library project and presented a site logistic plan that demonstrated an understanding and ability to work within the existing site limitations. City staff determined that All-Phase General Contractor was responsive to the solicitation requirements, and their prices were determined to be fair and reasonable and in line with the cost estimate. Budget amount, total construction budget available is $4,261,106. Staff recommends that All-Phase General Contractors be awarded the first floor lighting upgrades and second floor addition in the amount of $3,765,466 plus a 10% contingency for a total of $4,142,012.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yes. Do you see it? If not, I can come down there. It's taking a sec, but it should, yeah. Does anyone else, do you need this, man?
That's fine.
Hand him that. Yeah. It's just for the commission. There might be too many people on the free Wi-Fi. It should in a second. It should refresh, yeah.
You can go.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. I think I am too. We've been at this for a while, so this presentation will give facts to making a very important decision this evening, and just ask any questions as I move on. The public might be confused of what is the lighting upgrades. We put two projects into one for the bidding. So there is the lighting portion upgrades for the library and the second story addition. A little bit of project history, as you probably already know. In 1994, the city opened the existing library facility where we are today. In 2008, which happened to be the year I started, the library went under renovation, adding 9,300 square feet for a grand total of almost 25,000 square feet, and it was wonderful. We celebrated that grand reopening in 2009. The architectural design of the 2008 renovation included the anticipation of a second story, so it was designed to hold or support a second story in the future if that's what we decide to do. In 2015, we began kicking around the idea of a second story, and in the following year, the Library Foundation kicked off their Let's Build a Story capital campaign with the goal of raising $500,000. You may have remembered it was called the 2020 Vision. Well, we know what happened in 2020, so we moved our vision forward. The second story addition has been on the Commission Goal Workshop as a goal since 2020. In March 2020, right before the world kind of shut down, we had a design kickoff meeting with the architect Long & Associates, and then the pandemic stalled the project. The site plan in May 2023, the site plan was approved by you, the City Commission. And the proposed addition will add approximately 4,800 square feet. So just the timeline, Planning and Zoning approved the project in April of this year. In July of this, in July 2022, the major site plan modification was
approved by the TRC. Planning and zoning approved in April of this year. The site plan was approved by the commission in May 2023. We went for building permits in July 2023, and in September 23, we received the contractor bids. In 2016, the foundation kicked off their 2020 Vision capital campaign, and we'll go on. There's been some misnomers about what the second story will entail. It is not all meeting room space. It is approximately 1,800 square feet of that 4,800 square feet of meeting room space. We have a deaf literacy center currently on the first floor, which we'll talk about later, which will be located to the second floor, vacating space on the first floor for a maker space area. We'll have separate room with multiple desks for self-quiet study and remote business workspace, open Monday through Saturday, which will meet the community needs, requesting quiet areas for study and business needs. All first floor meeting rooms would then be reserved primarily for library programs if we did build the second story. Second floor meeting room for outside rental and nonprofit use we'd use the second floor for nonprofit and outside rental, and space availability for rental would be advertised and marketed. Historically, the primary hours for meeting room space outside rental and nonprofit use is 4 to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and smaller groups use the 11 to 3 p.m. window. We would have ability for simultaneous library programs Monday through Saturday, and I'm not talking huge programs, but we would have the ability to have, say, an AARP tax aid or AARP driving class and a children's program downstairs. Revenue for outside buildings is currently limited since library programs take precedence and space is limited. And I don't forget that the library is not your typical revenue generating location. It could be if we do have a second story and we market it that way. First floor lighting upgrade, and staff that is here could attest with me that it's dark in there. Right now, if you went, well, we're closing in 5 minutes, but if you went in the rotunda, you would need a flashlight to read the books in the new book area. Some spaces above the computers are very bright, and we have taken sections of lights out. And then we have certain areas that look like you're walking into a surgical ward. So we really need upgraded lighting in the library, regardless if the second story doesn't go through. We need lighting upgrade. Our library statistics are here, and I'm not going to go into them, but you can see that pre-COVID, they were a lot higher than they are now, but we're coming back. Last year, our program attendance, and this is just library program attendance only, was over 15,000 people, meaning everybody in a resident, practically every resident, was in the library at a program at one time or another. We had 659 in-person programs and 118,751 visitors coming through our door, which is averaging 390 a day. The number of outside meetings was only 162 because library programs take precedence over space for outside groups. Any questions? Stop me at any time. Okay, good. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Deaf Literacy Center, and we have Rosa Rodriguez somewhere back here, who is the head of the Deaf Literacy Center, along with Travis Soto and Sabila, does sign language classes and other classes throughout the weeks. But since 1998, the Deaf Literacy Center has been a fixture in our community and our library. They're part of the Pinellas County Library Cooperative, but they're really part of our library. They've always been here serving the community. I'm not going to go into the history of how we got the Deaf Literacy Center, but we did have a big deaf community on Maple Way years back, and that's how it started with grants, and now their headquarters, their world headquarters in Pinellas County are here in Safety Harbor. So they've outgrown their space. Their space is currently right next to the the conference room on the first floor, and it's tiny. And you can see their statistics alone, which are not included in our statistics from the previous slide. In the past 18 months, they've had a total of 603 programs here in Safety Harbor. Weekly, Sevilla conducts 2 adult ASL classes, 1 baby sign language class, tutoring sessions with the staff. Services include walk-in, telephone, video calls. They help with tax questions, any kind of questions that people may need. They have a deaf club, deaf story time, and they have summer camps. And total attendance for the past 18 months, is over 10,000 people. They have assisted close to 9,000 people, deaf people and their families. The first, also when they proposed move to the second story, the Joe and Lois Spencer Foundation have pledged $25,000 for naming rights for the Deaf Literacy Center. These are all our outside meeting groups which meet in the Safety Harbor Public Library. They have met in the past year. So there's quite a number of groups that are nonprofit, mostly that meet in the library at the current time. Here's a snapshot of daily meeting room usage, Monday through Saturday. There's a couple weeks, so you can see this is what our meeting room calendar looks like. If you're questioning there's a need, that shouldn't be a question by looking at this slide. There is a need. We also have small study rooms that are reservable. This is a snapshot of daily study room usage. We don't keep track of how many people that are sitting in the back looking for a quiet place to study, but there are desks and private areas, not private areas, open areas, where people could then be used space on the second story. Here's the big issue. One of the big issues is funding. As Michelle mentioned, the total is, you can see the total, $4,261,106, and available funding from the CRA is $3,039,985. So the public knows that are listening, the CRA funds cannot be used for salaries or anything of that nature. It has to be used for something in the downtown district. Capital project. We have library impact fees for construction that has been going on for the last, I don't know how many years, $105,000 some odd dollars. We have donations of $615,000, $140,000, and a grant, which I'll explain on the next slide. So 25% of this project is funded through grants and donations. And here's the breakdown. The Safety Harbor Library is ready to write a check for $500,000. They've been fundraising since 2016. We had 2 donations from 2 estates, the Foreman Estate, Brock Family Trust. Apparently they liked the library and they donated money to the library. The Friends of the Library are donating $35,000, and the Chrissy Elmore Library Trust, $500,000, $25,000 of which will be for naming rights for the Deaf Literacy Center. We also got a grant from the Florida Department of State Public Library Construction Grant for $500,000. We started this grant in 2019 and rolled it over up until this last fiscal year. In the past, typically the state legislature would only approve 2 $500,000 grants or $1 million for state library construction grants. But something happened last year and they approved all 19, and ours is one of them. If we move forward for the grant project, we must be 100% completed before June 1st, 2025. We're in a $500,000 time crunch if we go forward. So here's the breakdown. The lighting upgrade, you can see $346,000. The second story addition, $3,357,268. We will have solar on the second story, and that's been broken out. So as Michelle stated, there's our 10% contingency for total construction costs of $4,142,000.
I don't even know, I'm losing the numbers.
4.142 million.
Millions, lots of money, and then the project budget, which you can see is greater than what we have budgeted. We will have to outfit the second story with furniture and fixtures, but that would be a fiscal 20, next year issue, or budget. Thank you. Operating costs, we don't expect water to increase. Our electrical will increase based on the square footage. We did a calculation, but please keep in mind that 12% of the operating costs should be covered by solar. We don't have any staff increases to support the second story. There will be an office on the second floor covered with existing staff, which would be where the WeWork kind of space would be. Contractor recommendation, which Michelle went over. Here's just the timeline of when we issued the invitation for bids. We had the mandatory pre-bid conference. The bids were due in bid opening, and then we had 2 presentations by Erickson and Lindstrom and All Phase Contractors. And here we sit today with a recommendation of award of contractor if you move forward with the project. We are recommending All Phase Contractors, and all that information is in your backup. Very recently, we had a last push for community support for the second story, and we sold 75 t-shirts within a week's period. And here are some of the comments, unsolicited, that came with the purchase of the t-shirts. My favorite is, the library is such an important part of Safety Harbor. The Safety Harbor Library is a true gift. It was one of our first stops after moving here 6 years ago. Book clubs, ESL, concerts, educational programs for all ages are among the many offerings from this library. The second story is not for all of us now. It's for the future. It will serve our community going forward. So if you have any questions.
Yeah. Well, Lisa.
It's a very hard decision. I get it. I get it. I understand. So if you have any questions, let me know.
I have several questions. Well, first of all, thank you very much for.
Should I sit down?
No, but say. And I know you and your team and everyone in the city, city employees have put a lot of work into, preparing for this, and for everyone that's come out to speak, whether on the, for or against this. I'm pretty sure that's why all of you are here. Thank you for coming out and for your dedication to the city. I do have a lot of questions, but why don't I open it up, and if anyone else wants to go first. If not, I'm happy to jump in. Okay. And so, I'll take the ball. So, you said it's about 4,800 additional square feet, and you said 1,800 of that is meeting space.
Correct.
Can we quantify the other 3,000? Like what?
The Deaf Literacy Center was moving upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, I don't have the plans out, it's 500 square feet. And
So
then
just rough, okay.
Then the WeWork kind of space is a larger space. There is also a
Which
kitchen,
WeWork?
like a quiet place for private study.
Or office work.
Yeah.
Or like personal.
A quiet area where you can come in, you can do your work, you have your laptop.
Okay.
And then there is
roughly maybe how.
Marcy's taking a look
Okay.
at that. There is also a kitchen area off of the meeting room for rentals, so that would be available. There is a storage closet which takes room for all the tables and chairs, which would be up there. There is a IT closet up there. There's a hallway, and then there's an elevator.
Say bathrooms.
Oh, yes, bathrooms. Yes, there are bathrooms, men and women's bathrooms. We don't want everybody having to run downstairs.
So, okay, so the bulk of it is the meeting space.
Yes.
here's so the bulk of it's in meeting space, and I get there's hallways, there's bathrooms, that stuff you need to support it, there's closets, there's the WeWork space, there is a deaf literacy, but that's moving from one, it's probably gonna expand, because you mentioned it's tiny on
It's
the.
a little bigger.
So, here's my concern, because I know when this started, I think we were looking at a $2 million budget, and I know we got a lot of, maybe a quarter of it we got through grants and donations. It's still a very expensive project. And so my question is, I totally support the library, don't get me wrong, but I want to know, like,
I know, you're there all the time.
yeah, my wife's
All
there
the
every day.
time.
She was
there today?
Yeah, she was there today. She was there today. So, but with regards to, because I'm looking at some of the statistics, and the peak years were 2017, 2018. Things have not got back to peak level. They've kind of been, it looks like they were declining, and then they may have leveled off. I'm not sure. But as far as meeting space goes, the city, we have multiple facilities. We've got the Rigsby Center. We've got the community center. I've spoken to people at, at least one church in the area that have a ton of extra space. And I was looking at the list of all the different organizations, a lot of HOAs, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. That's available for free. How do we justify spending so much money to build a second story when there is a bunch of available free space that we can utilize?
Want to tell them to go someplace else?
Maybe. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, maybe. I mean, the library is great, but I mean that we have. I mean, if the purpose is for a meeting, then.
A typical day in the library, I'm trying to think of one last week, and staff, help me. We had an ARP driving class from 10 to 4, and then at 5 o'clock, there was a teen program. So we're constantly juggling, and I know it sounds whine, we have to do a lot of work, put walls up and down. That's not the issue. There are multiple library programs going on in that space in one day. So we have to, and then there might be a meeting afterwards from the outside public. I understand what you're saying. We could keep the library and just have no outside meetings, and then we wouldn't have a space problem at all.
Right, or have some meetings, and then.
How could you choose?
First come, first serve?
Well, the library programs would take precedent.
Okay.
So, yeah, so library programs would go first, and then but there wouldn't be much left after that, is what she's saying. Which is fine. I mean, that's a direction we could go.
And here's kind of another follow-up question. So, when we look at creating extra space, and I've talked to, a contractor friend of mine, and what they said is the most expensive possible way to get extra space is adding a second story to an existing building. It's like one thing if you're already building a building and you go 2 stories, but for a government building, you got to do ADA requirements, you got to do an elevator, you got to do the outside fire exits, you got to tear up the roof, you got to rebuild the roof, you got to repurpose the first floor for everything that you did. So just if I only look at the 3.3 million for the second story, and I don't look at the full 4.1, that's $700 a square foot to build.
Did you take out the lighting upgrade?
Yeah, I'm only talking about the.
So you can go back to the slide that had the breakdown. I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah, you're correct, Mayor. It is the most probably expensive way to add on to a facility or a building. That's correct.
So.
Yeah, I think that's it right there.
Yeah, so
the 3.3.
Yeah, so if we just look at the 3.3, $700 a square foot to build. That doesn't include, I don't think that includes the contingency, so that would be maybe 3.6, so even more. I guess what I'm wondering is, I know the city has a lot of property, we have other space. I mean, for example, we have the Rigsby Center,
We did survey, was Andrea still here?
Yeah.
Okay, we did, and I have notes on that. The Rigsby Center has 0 availability Monday through Thursday, 4 to 7 p.m. due to program. The museum is closed Monday through Wednesday for visitors, and Andrea Stepwriting, if I'm stating anything incorrectly. They're available for rentals Friday, Saturday till 10 p.m. and Sundays 10 to 4 if there's no classes. There is some availability at the community center. The multipurpose room is currently available most evenings only from 6 to 8 p.m. There is an art room available from 6 to 8 p.m. I don't think we can really include the gym and the type of meetings that come into, if there even is availability for the type of meetings that is used in the library. So there is some availability, but there's also, the other facilities are also very busy.
Right, okay. You know, I mean, I guess another alternative would just be to build a new building on some property we have.
Where? I'm just.
No, well, I'm not saying this is but we just purchased this property right near, what street is that on?
Second.
Yeah, Second Street South.
We're 25,000 square feet now,
Yeah.
and we're tight.
No, I'm saying we could build, like, literally from scratch, a new building
Oh.
right here without going up.
Oh, okay.
On Second Street South.
Okay.
Yeah, that property.
Okay.
I'm throwing ideas, because I'm just trying to justify.
I get it.
Why
I
it's,
understand.
yeah.
I understand, and I wouldn't want to be sitting up there.
Yeah. All right, why don't I take it? Yeah, I'll take a back seat.
I'd like to just capsulize some comments that have come to me from email correspondence. And the most poignant is from Laura Kepner, and it's that the library is our living room, is Safety Harbor's living room. And I want to elaborate on that. When I have people come from other states or other countries, family, they gravitate on foot or on bike to the library. It's our center, our central space. And I just think it's really, really important. We've had this goal of build a story. We've been selling build a story. We've had multiple community events on building a second story. Let us tell you our story. We have arranged financing for this. We've debated this. We've been talking about this for 8 years. And somebody did bring the point to me that we don't have to just have blinders and say, well, we decided to do it, so we have to do it. But I think there were many very good reasons why we decided to do it and why this was a goal of ours. And there are some people who don't want to go off-site. They don't want to go to a religious institution, or they don't want to go to another facility. They'll go to a public facility to meet and have their workshops, etc., but they won't go. They like the idea of a public meeting space. So that's why I was wondering too, could we get another piece of property and drop it there? But it's the integral part of our city, I feel. Some people will never follow me into Athens, or they would never go to the spa, or they would never go to a lot of places downtown. They don't have that comfort level, but they'll take the tot into the library for the kids' reading program, and they'll go there and they'll check out seed packets. And so or they'll check out tools. So I just feel as though if we lose that core space, that will be really sad. And I want to do this project. I feel it in my heart. So thank you for listening.
I know there's been talk about someone who's interested in buying a library and buying the property, and my feeling is absolutely not. I don't want to see it move to another location in the city. I think cost is, and I've spoken to Lisa about it, my concern is, do we need it? And it's an investment in our community. It's a complete investment in our community. And it's used, it's an anchor when people think about Safety Harbor. I like to be selfish. I think the first question I asked Lisa was, I don't care about all these people coming from outside of Safety Harbor. Are we counting the people that are coming from our own community? Is it servicing our own community? But I think if you spend a day or a week in the library seeing the people come in and out, and if you talk to anybody in the city who's had kids, I've studied there myself. I've gone to the library to study and prepare myself for work. And I think some of the questions I asked Lisa was, we're just building meeting rooms? I think that was the first thing I asked her, and she said, no. I mean, there's going to be a study area. There's going to be, it's going to be put to use. And you got to think of it as if it is expensive. It's outrageous. But I think, a good part of the money, not all, but a good part of the money, a good portion of the money has been raised by people that believe in the library. A lot of people are out there. They've kind of put their heart and soul into the community. And I think, I just think we've gone too far to now scratch our heads and go, let's stop, it's a lot of money, it's a big investment. I think we've gone past that threshold. I think it's a tough decision for us because we're trying to look at it like value-wise. But for the community, the people that have really put all their time and effort into it, it'd be a slap in the face. So you got to look at it as if it's an investment in the city. It's an investment in our future kids. It's an investment. It's what makes this city great, is having this library. And yes, maybe initially it'll start off and we're going to have a lot of meeting space up there, but I guarantee you, as usership goes up, people are coming out. This COVID really, kind of put a damper on the library use. No one wanted to be around other people, but people are coming out. People are starting to use it, and I don't see how we can at this point go no, because I think we're not a growing community. We have 17,000 people. I don't suspect there's going to be another 17,000 people moving to Safety Harbor. But again, there's so much usage, and there's that much more programming that they can, they'll have space for more programs, not just meetings, but more programs. And, I just think I'm going to support the project because I think it's just an investment in our community. And I think people in our community really value it. They value what the community offers. And, if there's an extra kitchen up there, maybe we could have a coffee shop up there. Maybe you can, capture some additional cost with a coffee shop. We spoke about that back in 2008, having a coffee shop in the lobby, just trying to raise some additional funds. So I just think I struggle with it too. And Lisa and I spoke at length because it's a huge expense. But we're lucky we have 1.1 million, and we've got money in the CRA. And I just think the CRA is coming to an end, and I think this would be the final last big project that we're able to do with CRA funds. So I think it's a worthy project.
Just to be clear, I wasn't suggesting moving the light. Okay. I wasn't suggesting that at all. I was just saying we could.
Discussion about it.
Yeah, I don't think that's, yeah.
I misunderstood too, because I thought you wanted us to
Move the whole library?
When the mayor made that comment, I believe he was talking about just, you could build meeting space somewhere else, not move the whole library somewhere else.
Yeah, sorry if I wasn't. No. I wasn't proposing that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I understood what you were saying.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I agree. I work at USF. I understand the importance of good libraries, of good communication centers, of good connections with the community. I've always heard nothing but good things about the library over the years, and I've participated in it. The time I've been up here, I've seen how the library morphs. It's been doing GED programs and other things which are very important. I don't think you can find a card catalog in there. It's not like the old library. It's a center, right? It's a meeting place. I understand that $700 a square foot is expensive, but also the discussion that we had is the fact that the price varies depending upon the type of construction, and this type of construction is a focus of, it's a second story. But when that addition was put on, there was the intent to put the second story on. So certain things were done at that time to mitigate and minimize some of this cost. I tend to believe that the city should be responsible for city events and city meeting places, and keeping all that happening at the library, I think, is very important. And the commission, we've been talking about it for a long time. Numerous people have been raising money, trying to make this happen over the years. We even went through the point of looking and extending the CRA by 10 more years, just primarily for this project, and other things, but be able to get that money out of this. I think we've spent a lot of time working towards this goal and understanding, and you might say, well, it might be a meeting room, or it might be a this, but it's very hard to determine what it will morph into in the future. And having sat on numerous committees for the county, different boards, I can tell you that every year the price of whatever it is going to go up, and every year the size of what you want is going to go down. And so you're in a situation right now where the numbers work. We've got a budget which exceeds the construction costs. We've obviously had delays for various reasons. To me, I'm going to support this project. I think it's important. I think it's important for the community, and the benefit from the community is going to be felt not only soon, but in the future. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, I've been really debating about this for quite a while. I mean, it's really spent a lot of time thinking about this. And the one thing that's just really comes to the surface all the time is the cost of this, and the amount, the $700 to $800 a square foot cost. It's not the amount of money that we're going to spend, it's just the value of what we're getting. You know, it's putting a second floor on this is, the cost is just incredibly exorbitant. It's almost like the mayor said, it's almost, I would rather put an addition somewhere else, a separate building, and get a lot more for your money, and make it a lot more worthwhile. I can appreciate all the effort that everybody's put in. I mean, over the years, I've also, I've done a little bit to help out myself, and it's really difficult. But things have changed quite a bit, and I understand as far as, you all have a goal, and you made your goal, $500,000 goal. You guys made your goal and even more than that. And it's really like I used to always look at that number and say, wow, they are just, killing it. Incredible, a lot of great people behind this whole project. But unfortunately, with what's happened with the costs, where everybody's, construction costs have increased so much, and part of it is because there has been a lot of wasteful spending by government institutions, not just here, but all over the country, which has driven costs up. And this, I think, is a classic example that we're just, again, we're putting money into the hands of people just taking advantage of it, in my opinion. For one, I mean, the cost is the big issue, and the value of what we're getting.
Audience, to be heard?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Lisa, you're good. Sit down.
So, yeah.
Yeah, sit down.
All right, so why don't we open this up to the audience? We do have a lot of people. How many people, by raise of hands, how many people want to speak? Sorry, by a raise of hands, how many people want to speak? Okay, so can we just, I'm going to limit it to 3 minutes. I'm going to be strict on the time because we got a lot of people that want to speak. So let's do audience to be heard. And just please come up, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Caitlin Swenson. I've been a member of the Safety Harbor Library Foundation Board for almost 2 years now. I'm at 3077 Grandview Avenue in Clearwater. Yep, Clearwater. I've always thought of Safety Harbor, though, as a part of my home, And this is because for a year of my life, I did live here, and that was in 2nd grade. By the time I attended SHMS, my bus stop wasn't in a safe place for me to walk to and from my home, since both were right off a busy road. Instead, I would walk to the library. This place became my baby, and also my study partner. It was a place not only I felt safe walking to after school, but my parents trusted it as well. Because of the library, I had everything I needed at my fingertips for any homework or project due to the variety of information that building holds and continues to add to its repertoire. Being on this board, I have never had an experience like this before. If the community didn't want to see this come together, we wouldn't be about to put on our 5th Links for the Library event this February, as well as being able to bring back other successful fundraisers. Safety Harbor, we pride ourselves on being a family community here that rallies together, offering support whenever and wherever needed. This library edition is not just a structure, it's a commitment to the enduring of our community. It serves as a multifaceted asset, ensuring that our community continues to flourish in numerous ways for years to come. The library isn't just a safe place for kids to go to after school. This is a place for anyone of any age. It's not just there for those stereotypical reasons. People come here for a wide variety of ways to meet their needs. It's grown since I was coming here, and it's going to continue to need to grow. So to not put the money that we have been diligently fundraising for years back into the library would be a disservice to Safety Harbor. Not just now, but to the future people who will call this town home, whether because they live here, like most of you, or they spent a variety of different years of their life calling this place a home away from home, like myself. We can't just think about right now. We need to continue to think about the future people of this community and what they will need. I can promise you the approval of the 2nd story is a great step in that direction. As a foundation board member, our mission is to foster the growth and development of the Safety Harbor Public Library, ensuring its future as an indispensable community resource. Also, our vision is to ensure the library continues as a center for educational and cultural enrichment through this advocacy and funding support. Just because it's not something you utilize on a regular basis doesn't mean that that's the same for everyone around you, because the most ironic part is my printer broke before this and I had to go to my library to print it out.
Hi, Laura Kepner, 11 Idlewild Drive. And I know I wrote you all a letter, a very long letter. I'm sorry it was so long. This is probably the most passionate I've felt about anything brought up at the commission in many years. I want to tell you just a quick story. I came from Washington State in 2008. We found this place. It was magical. I don't know what it was. We felt this vibe. And we had a library being built, expanded. I couldn't wait. That's the first thing I did. I got my library card. But I want to tell you, Washington State, I was bored. I was a teacher assistant. I had playground duty all the time, and I so wanted to write a book. That's all I wanted to do. And I get to Safety Harbor, and this magical town, it was like, I can do anything here. I can have my dream, and I can do it. And I go to the library, and I say, do you have any history? Do you have anything I could look at? And you know what they brought out? Issues of the Safety Harbor Herald. And Warren Furshine and I had on white gloves. We turned those pages, now they're all digitized. And I mean, it was really, really special. And I want to tell you, it's not about me. In the future, there will be other people writing our history, and all of you might be in that book, all right? And I want you to know that our history is really special because we're a special town. I've got 2 books now. I have one for all of you. I'm going to bring it tomorrow. But it's not just about me making my dream come true. I also got to teach kids at the beginning. I got to run these teen writers workshops. And at a concert at Shamsi one night, last summer, I had this adult come to me and say, do you remember me? And I said, no. She was one of the first kids with Farrell Thomas who came and took that five-week workshop. I'm getting emotional here. I will teach more of those. I will volunteer if there is space to do so. I ran a writers group there as a volunteer. There wasn't space half the time. I couldn't do it all the time. I tell you what, I'll commit to that. I will go back and I will run writers groups for free as a volunteer if there is space. And I appreciate all of the comments. I just want you to know how much this means to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Laura McCullough, 1858 Big Cypress Drive. And libraries are so sacred. There was a quote up there from Einstein that said something like, the only thing you absolutely must know in your life is the location of your library. And a library is not just a building here in this town, it's the center of town. Like Laura said, it's our living room. And there's so much more, you know, that great tree that's there in the location, you can't buy that. You can't put it in another building. You can't, it's so special and just so sacred, you know, and I've lived in Ohio, Michigan, Hawaii, California, New Jersey. I know the location of every library in my town, and one of the most cherished possessions I have is my library card. And I still use it to this day. 400 people are coming in every day to the library. That's a lot in this small town. And I just really encourage you to please vote for the library. I know it would make sense. You could probably build some ugly building somewhere, not that you would purposely make it ugly, but you just wouldn't have the character that this library has. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Julie Scott, 535 3rd Street North. I also am a card-carrying library member and have been ever since I was a little kid, going to my little tiny town that I lived in Michigan, reading books. Love the library. But I'm going to say something a little bit different. Our library that we're looking at, that we've been working on here since 2015, this rendition is not what our living room should look like. This rendition of this library looks like a big box storage unit. We can do better than this. We can build a library with $4 million that is the entryway to our city that doesn't look like some big, huge brick structure with no character. It's going in right next to a beautifully renovated, in the process of being beautifully renovated building. Let's make this look beautiful too. Let's make this a legacy for the future and use this $4 million, $3 million. I'm all for the lighting. Let's do lighting downstairs and make it look great. But let's make it look like something that we can be proud of so that 20, 30, 40 years from now, people aren't saying, good God, what were they thinking? This is the cheapest way they could do that library. Yeah, it's $700 a square foot. I just built a new house over the last couple of years. It's expensive. It was expensive for me as a homeowner, but we're investing in our community. Let's make it look like something that we should be really proud of. I also think that we can look at some of the other meeting rooms around town. I think we can think outside of the box instead, and it's something that our city commission, our city manager, our building department should be using skill that they have available to them to come up with a plan that is magical, that makes us all so proud of a library that we're going to have for a very long time. And if we have satellite places to go for a meeting, frankly, we might think people care right now, but a homeowners association isn't going to mind if they go to the Rigsby Center. They're not going to, it's all going to work out in the end. And I'm not saying don't build it, just build it so it's something that we can be really proud of. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Carol McNamee, 222 12th Avenue South. I'm shocked because it sounds like this is the first time you ever heard of this. Like, why are you questioning these things about the money when you approved things along the way all this time, and now we're down to signing on the dotted line? It's like, oh wait, I think it's too much money. Well, where were you before? Why didn't you say it was too much money then? And that money is coming from the CRA, which is the money that gets generated from our money that we pay to the people who are in the CRA, from grants, from people doing fundraisers. And I heard something that's really bothering me. Are we trying to lay the groundwork for somebody to come in and buy that property? No, we're not. So I'm wrong? Good. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Hold me to that. That's,
Yeah.
no one's talking about that.
Well, nobody's talking about that. Exactly right. That's how things get done in this town. Nobody's talking about it. And I'm shocked that more people don't get up and say that, what are you valuing? This isn't even costing you. If you're valuing education, I take my 4.5-year-old granddaughter there because she loves to go to the library. She's been doing that since she's 2. Now, I want the library to be where it is, and I'm sorry it's going to be a box and all that kind of stuff, but it really is quite lovely, and I've been around a lot of libraries in my day. So I really, really, really hope you reconsider that you think it's too much money. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Debbie White, I'm the president of the Safety Harbor Public Library Foundation. And as you've heard many, many times already, we've spent an awful lot of time, fun time, raising a lot of money. And we're very proud of what we've done, and we're very proud that we can write you a check for $500,000 tonight if you need it. But I think, there's a lot of things going on around here, but I think the most important things are the investment to our community. Thank you, Commissioner Steingold, for some of your words, and Commissioner Besor and Commissioner Mers. I mean, you said a lot of things that I already had written down, so I don't really have to say it again. But I think the library defines our community. Safety Harbor is a very special place. It needs to be downtown. The people come, I think, often walk. I think Mayor Ayub's wife walks across the street to go to the library, which is awesome. But I think we've been planning this project since 2016, and it's expensive, but we've got a lot of money that's included. We've got 1.1 million in grants and donations. So we're just asking you for the vote. And really, as the previous lady said, it's nothing new to you. You've been voting on as you've gone along in the process. So this is just to hire the contractor. So please vote yes for that. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, so, yeah, come on up.
Mike, just grab that one right there and turn it on. There you go. Sorry, give us 1 sec.
Everybody hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabila. I'm a Clearwater resident on Wood Avenue in Clearwater. I understand that I might not be a Safety Harbor resident, but since I was 15 years old, the library changed my life, this library specifically. It was welcoming. They gave me access to so much. I mean, the library is my second home. It was for me, and it's now for my daughter. I've had so many experiences in that library over the years. The Deaf Literacy Center has been crucial in making me who I am today. It's been there for over 25 years. And talking about space, I understand that you're concerned about the second story and the cost of it. But for me, as the instructor there at the library in sign language classes, today I can give you an example. I had 25 students from Calvary Christian High School come to my sign language class. I couldn't fit them in the room that I was teaching my class. I'm always trying to go around the library, trying to figure out what space to use. When we have programs with children, even the meeting room is not large enough for us.
So here's my daughter, I mean, I bring her to story times. She's able to learn because of the library. And I have staff there that can communicate with me. When I'm at the library, at a program, she can also attend another program, which wouldn't happen in a different building. So all I'm saying is, let's come to a compromise, to an agreement. Yeah, it's gonna be costly, but it's also a great investment for our community. And like someone else said, we might come up with new programs because of the space. I'm sure it's gonna happen. You never know, so give us a chance. Consider, yeah, the money, but like she said, education, you can put a price to that. Learning, you can put a price to that. So let's work together to make this happen. For Safety Harbor, for my deaf community, for everyone around. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Because I'm gonna close public comment, and once we close it, we're not gonna go back and open it up, so. Going once? Going twice? All right, so now we're gonna bring it back up to us.
Yeah, I just got 4 points just to stress is that by no means is anybody devaluing the role of a public library to Safety Harbor, and nobody's trying to close it down, nobody's trying to minimize it. The library at worst is gonna be the same as it is right now, right, and even bigger, okay? So nobody taking away programs, nobody taking away books, nobody cutting it down, nobody selling it. The library is a very important part of Safety Harbor, and it will maintain itself as an important part of Safety Harbor. That's the first point. The second point is that our role here is not only just to represent the fine citizens that back up the library all the time and all the people that go to the library, but also we also represent the whole city of Safety Harbor, right? And there is a considerable amount of money being poured in from taxpayers that are given by the whole city, you know, to fund this project. That's something important. That yes, the library foundations come up with quite a bit, like I said before, an incredible amount of effort, and the state of Florida has also put in, you know, quite a bit of money and stuff. But the citizens of Safety Harbor, let's not put them to the side. All 19,000 people in the city of Safety Harbor have a stake in this. And so I'm in a position where I have to not just look at, you know, my heart says, yes, you know, help out the people. It's great. Education is great. It creates a great interaction, society, and everything like that. But the value, I have to look at the value of it, because the rest of, you know, I have to represent the rest of the city also. The third point I had is that, you know, my suggestion is to do the lighting, perhaps go through a renovation, see how we can maximize the space inside the library. You know, obviously we have enough funds, we have CRA funds, maybe the donations may not want to go to that, or, you know, but there's a lot of money, a lot of things we can do to maximize, make it more efficient, more effective. Perhaps not get to the level that a second floor addition is going to do, but we can look at something in the future, you know, to expand not only the actual footprint of the current library, but look somewhere else. For example, one of the things that we've done in the past is we invested in property on 2nd Street, right back here. We also invested money in the public work. We got a new public works, what we invested. And the whole premise behind what I wanted to do with that was basically to move some of the installation, some of the services of the public works from 9th Avenue over to that area and use that area to be more efficient, more effective, more community oriented, whether it's for business, it could be more, you know, a building for the library, meeting rooms, or perhaps an annex to the library. And it would also kind of branch out the library to a second part of town, you know, make it more accessible, more walking distance for the whole town. Those are my thoughts. I wanted to be clear in what my thought pattern was, because I don't think I was actually thorough enough in my first go around.
Commissioner Diaz made me think of something else that someone wrote to us, in that library patrons also spend money. I referred to a couple places I patronize, and I frequently go to businesses after I've done something at the library. For instance, there's a library book sale on Saturday. Before I go, I'll probably go have breakfast, and I'll spend some money. And then I'll go to the book sale, and after the book sale, I'll probably be hungry again, and I'll go get something else. So I'm really driven by food and exercise. And somebody else said to me today, remember in your comments that we are a city of walkers. Remember all your friends out at Philippi walking that path every day from the park to downtown and back again. We go to the spa and then back. We get tired, we get hungry, we need to use the restroom. And we go to the library, and that's our public facility. And then we also go to other places, the waterfront park, et cetera, et cetera. But I just believe that the library isn't just an educational center and a civic center. I also think it is an economic generator. And when I look at the CRA, that's Community Redevelopment Act money, and that area, I think, stretches from a point downtown up to my street, 13th South. And so it encompasses that whole area, and it's supposed to improve, those funds are supposed to improve the lives of the people in that area. So I think this is an economic generator, and I also think that it is also something that will be a civic improvement with that money, with that investment. So thank you for listening.
I have a question. So, Matt, if we didn't expend monies in the library, what would happen with the CRA?
Well,
Cease.
The CRA has 8 years left, regardless. It wouldn't automatically cease, but if you didn't move forward with the library, then we would have to have a conversation about what that money would be for, and should the CRA end sooner. But that would be a subsequent conversation and not part of this decision.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is the CRA money isn't just taxpayer-generated money. It's money that we receive from the county to put into our downtown. Again, it's money to invest in infrastructure, in capital projects. So I look at, I know it's very difficult. It's extremely expensive. Imagine if we didn't when we built the building in 2008, 2009, the commission that I served on, we had the foresight at that time to make sure that we could withstand, the structure was built in such a way that we anticipated building a second story. And believe me, 5,000 square feet for, $4 million, it's an expense. I get it. But I also look at this money. I look at the money that's being utilized as a little bit different, and I think, again, I venture to say, if we knocked on every door in Safety Harbor and said, do you support? It's not supporting. Everybody supports the library. I don't think there's anybody around that, and this isn't. We're not talking about whether we support the library or not. It's whether or not we support this expansion for additional programming, for additional use by the public. And so I venture to say, when we talk about people in the community supporting this, if we knocked on doors and found out, or did a survey and found out who supports an expansion for potentially additional usage, I'd venture to say pretty much everybody out there is going to say, let's build it. I can't imagine that, anybody in the community is going to, I would imagine that at least 75% or greater of our residents are all going to say, build it, It's kind of like we keep the taxes low, we don't raise the millage rate, and people are out, sometimes they show up at meetings and say, raise it. We like living in Safety Harbor. Go ahead and raise our millage rate a little bit. We'll pay. And I think, when you talk about building an annex or building additional space somewhere else, keep in mind that if you add a structure off-site somewhere else, now you gotta hire employees to come work there. So, again, it's a give and take, and I just, like I said before, we've gone too far at this point, and, people have raised a lot of money, and we have a grant, and it's gonna be used, and I guarantee you, people in this community it's gonna be filled up, it's gonna get used. I just don't see it as wasted space. I questioned it. I questioned Lisa about it at length. I'm like, how, what are you gonna do with all this space? They told you, one program after another, they'll add more programs. So, again, I support it, but I just wanted to convey the CRA monies are just a little bit different. And if we don't utilize it, we're gonna have a discussion about what are we gonna put the money into? Because we don't use it, the funding is gonna terminate unless we find something else.
It'll go into the general fund.
Well,
It'll go into the general fund.
Okay. So this money, and it's not on this slide, but the $3 million that's been set aside at the CRA for the library. Can you go to the slide, Lisa? It was the budget slide. That'll work, right there, yep. So the just over $3 million in CRA. Oh, that's all right. We'll get there. Just go for it on the slides. It's like, one more. Well, we're almost there. We'll get there. There it is. So the $3 million in CRA. So that would go back to the CRA, and then we would have a conversation about the CRA. I think, Commissioner Diaz, what you're talking about is if and when the CRA ends, which will be no later than 8 years from now, then the city's portion of the CRA, which right now is somewhere around, let's just say $850,000, but don't quote me on it, that will go back to the general fund. That is correct. The county's portion, once the CRA is done, which right now is about $500,000, $450,000 to $500,000 per year, those are annual revenue numbers, that will go back to the county. So that
We don't use it on something else.
when the CRA is done.
Yeah.
It will go, no matter what, when the CRA is done, the county portion.
Oh, the annual amount
That's
going
right.
forward. We'll
That's
go
right.
back to the county, yeah.
And so so when we started this, I think this came up earlier, excuse me. When we started this project years ago, the budget was $2 million. This is years ago. This is like back in 2016. And we thought we were gonna have to borrow the money. And then when it got delayed because of COVID and other factors, we were able to set aside CRA funding. And so we set aside funding and set aside funding. As Lisa talked about earlier, that grant, that $500,000 grant, we just learned that we received that this past July. So, 6 months ago or so, we just learned that we received that $500,000, or it'd be a totally different conversation too this evening, because those are the budgeted dollar amounts available right now. So I don't know if I answered your question, but CRA funds have to be used for the CRA purpose and the CRA goals and objectives in the downtown. Once the CRA expires, or once we allow it to expire, then that revenue would go back to the general fund. That's correct. But this $3 million would have to be used for CRA goals and objectives, whether that's the library or something else.
Lisa, can you go back to the slide that shows the rendering of it? Is that the...
Can you go to the first one? Because I think the first one had just the, sorry, making you jump all around. It's just a bigger picture. It's the same thing, just a bigger picture. Well, I guess it's the same. Never mind. Okay. I thought it was bigger.
That's after the design improvements we discussed?
Yes.
So one thing that, as has been pointed out, my wife does go to the library, and I go there.
Every day I hear.
Yeah, frequently. And so one thing having 2 young kids, I have the pleasure of having a lot of mothers speak to me about things that they have on their mind in the city. And several mothers have said, if we're doing this project, it would be nice, because they go to different libraries for different programs, and they've compared our kids section to others, and they said our kids section is not as robust or as nice as some of the other libraries where it could be. Is there anything, I'm sorry? Is there any money, is it part of the plan to improve the kids section or expand it at all? No?
No, this, yeah.
But isn't there also going to be work done on the bottom also? Is
Lighting upgrades.
And that's it, nothing?
Yeah. I mean, we could look at that moving forward.
When would be the time?
The majority of the children's section is going to be closed down when they're building this.
But when all's said and done, though, it's just going to return back to the exact same way it is?
The first floor, yes.
I have to tease with you, Rodney. I want to say, what
yeah.
ours has, we have anesthesia in our staff.
Yeah.
A redesign could happen, but that's more money. You're looking at a redesign of the stacks.
Well, I know you're moving the deaf and literacy section upstairs. I knew there was something going on downstairs where stuff's being moved around.
That's the only thing. We'd make a makerspace there in that small deaf literacy center, and they'd move upstairs. But the footprint for everything else in the youth area would remain the same. And it has morphed over the years. We have a sensory center now that we didn't have before. It was an art nook. Before that, it was a stroller parking. We have a imaginative play area, is that what it's called? That the kids just love with their, there's a train set there, and all that area wasn't there in 2008, 2009. We reimagined it. The desk is new. The desk is probably 3 years old. So we have been changing, morphing that section. I don't know what else you could do with all the materials in there to make it better. I mean, nobody's ever complained I wish they would give us suggestions. So there's a suggestion box there. Come to us, and then when this is all done, if we do move forward, we can think about, moving things around. But the materials take up the majority of the space.
CRA money that's listed here, the $3 million too, and there's still 8 more years left, right? That's not the total amount, or would there be in follow-on years some additional funds that could be used for modifications or some places where?
Yeah, so to answer your question, there will be additional CRA funds if the CRA continues for 8 more years. Keep in mind, it has to meet one of the goals and objectives of the downtown master plan, and it also has to be capital in nature, not like maintenance costs or salaries or things like that. So it has to be capital in nature. So they like infrastructure projects. They like.
I mean, like an infrastructure, if for some reason there's a change in the bottom layout of one of the buildings, is that an infrastructure?
Potentially, I would need more time to research that and get back to you.
That's independent of this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you where my head is, and I appreciate everyone coming out and sharing your thoughts and listening to everyone on the dais. And I think what's winning me over is that it's been articulated that this is community space and it's public. There's going to be public meetings there. It's community space, and I feel that there's a benefit to having community space and public meetings in a centrally located place, especially that we're lucky enough we already have a building in the heart of our downtown. Having them in the heart of our downtown, I've always been we always talk about the charm of Safety Harbor, and one thing I've always equated charm to is it's not just the buildings and the trees, but it's also the people in the community, and having the luxury of bringing people in our community together in one place for meeting space and activities. There's a lot of value to that, rather than having it fragmented and having some people here and some people here. I mean, we have I guess what I'm saying is since we have the opportunity to do it, I think I'm inclined to support it. I will say, though, I think it would be, speaking of bringing community together, I am hearing from, these different moms, and I think there would be value to expanding and improving the kids section, because I know that's community also, when these mothers are always looking and they're driving on different days and they have group texts and they're planning where to bring their kids and families, and it's nice to have a place, a centrally located place to bring kids and families together. So I think if there's a way to, during this process, figure out how to improve it to serve the community, we could get input or do whatever we think is necessary, but I think there'd be a lot of value in that too. So I'll be voting for it. All right, if no one else wants to chime in, then we can entertain a motion.
Second.
And just for clarification,
You wanna go through the whole
the
thing?
approval on the second is to award a contract to All Phase General Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $3.765466 million plus a 10% contingency in the amount of $376,645 for a total of $4.142 million and $12.
So adopted.
I just want to clarify. That's what the motion in the second was for.
I couldn't pull my computer.
I know, that's good.
All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion passes 4-1. Now you all get to stick around to hear the appointment of 2 people to the Planning and Zoning Board. We want as big of applause for that as you gave for this one here.
All right, you got it, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Paulides has been removed from the
Oh, I
board,
can't hear you. Yeah.
and Ms. Lindsay has resigned. Should I want me to wait?
Yeah, she can't hear you.
I think we can move forward.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Paulides has been removed from the board, and Ms. Lindsay has resigned. The code requires that at least one member be a property or business owner within the CRD. Board member Colin Yun owns property within the CRD. The code also states that at least 2 board members should possess a background as noted in the code. Members Ali Schaff and Christina Novisk have professional experience as noted in the code. 4 applications have been received. It is requested that the commission appoint 2 regular members, and should the alternate be appointed as a regular member, it is then requested that a new alternate also be appointed.
You know why Chris Paulides was removed?
Ask a question?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask about him. Did we receive correspondence from him? Did he want to be reappointed, or did he have a reason that he was missed?
We did reach out to him, we called him, we left a message, and we also emailed, we did not hear back from him.
And then I have a motion. I move to move the alternate Christina Novisk up to a regular member.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, so,
So 1 more member and then another alternate.
I'll make a motion to appoint Nigel Hicks as a regular member.
Second.
anyone from the audience who should be heard? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We need an alternate now.
motion for Sarah Adams as the alternate.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, that concludes the regular portion of the meeting, so we're going to move to commission reports. Commissioner Basur?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for your excitement and your participation in all the holiday events. Thank you so much to Parks and Recreation, to Joe Cooper. I've heard over and again that this was the most spectacular parade, and people had such a wonderful time. And I just am really looking forward to the holiday lights, and I'm looking forward to all the just general excitement of the coming season. And we'll see you in a couple more weeks in ugly sweaters, everybody. But that I just really enjoyed the parade. I enjoyed this enthusiasm tonight. I really love the fact that people wrote email correspondence. They came out and they expressed themselves. So thank you very much. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Diaz?
Yeah, great weekend. Great weekend this week at Safety Harbor. It's good to see all the kids out and all the festivities and all the camaraderie of a great town. Tree lighting, the parade. Also want to remind about the ethics. I think there's an ethics meeting coming up. So you got to put in 4 hours somehow before the end of the year. And look forward to this weekend. This weekend we have the city party, right? The city Christmas.
Yes, for employees, yes. Not for the general public. A lot of people.
See it.
Come on, yes. So look forward to that. That's what I have.
Commissioner Merce?
Go ahead, finish your.
I thought, first of all, that's a great discussion that we had today. You know, obviously, you guys all heard my point and stuff like that. And everybody here's got different opinions, you know. Obviously, we don't agree. I think that's part of the whole practice of having 5 people here that have been around a little bit. We have different backgrounds. Everybody got different business experience from different parts, everything like that. And I would be doing an injustice if I don't go out there and express my true feelings, right or wrong. You know, I have to, give out my true feelings, and that's why I was elected. That's why I was put up here. And I respect everybody up here with their ideas, and obviously, it's really good to have the support of 4 other people here, because it makes you feel like you can't make a wrong decision, and that's I could say something and got 4 other people say, no, you're wrong. And it's good. I mean, it really feels good. So, before any meeting, obviously we all go through the agenda. Unlike what was said here, we all know what's happening. We followed this thing, for 8 years, 7 years and stuff like that. And you develop ideas as you go along and stuff like that. But again, I want to stress the fact that it's good to have everybody's input, because you feel confident that I can come to a meeting and really express my true thoughts, right? And maybe by the end of the meeting I'll change, sometimes I don't, but at the end of the day, I hope to think that as a collective group, we get it right. It's not about me getting it right, it's about the group getting it right. That's all.
Well, I was going to say something else, but let me just follow up on that just briefly. I think that is, I can't agree with you enough. What is important, and hopefully what can be viewed from tonight's an unusual night where we had a couple of items that were pretty important, lots of discussions on. And what's important is that certain people were on one side, and then on the next one, certain people are on the other side. And if you don't have a cordial understanding and acceptance of people's views, then one decision can make everybody mad and affect the next decision. And it's super important, I think, that people can be able to express it and then move on to the next one and start over again. And that's what has been very important and special about the commission and the people here, is that they've just been willing to express it, state it, put it out there, and then move on to the next one. And not only is that important for the ability to express opinions, as you mentioned, but hopefully to get the right messages and the right issues for the community, which is ultimately why we're here. So, community, the parade was fantastic. I know our code parade marshal, Dan Margaroni, sorry if I got it wrong, he mentioned Joe Cooper and staff did a fantastic job. I want to say the same thing. We've done numerous parades over the years, and it's no small feat to get it to all those people, to get everybody working and everything else on it. And then one last thing is December 8th and 9th, 15th and 16th is Santa Drive-Through. And so you go on to the Track Santa on the Safety Harbor Santa Tracker on the city website, and you can find out and track Santa as he comes through the community. It's very important. The fire department does a fantastic job in making that happen. I thank everybody for that. It sure is an important way for the community to be pulled together. And I don't know how many times I've had kids, my kids, now my grandkids, just running out there to watch Santa as he drives through. So it's a very good thing, and many appreciations for that. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
Thanks. Again, great parade. Lots of young families moving to Safety Harbor. After the parade, went out there and I actually watched it. And I was really impressed, actually. It seemed like there were more people there this year than past. It just seemed really packed. Anyway, thanks to Joe Cooper and Parks and Rec and city staff for doing what they do to make it, make it a great parade. Just talking about being up here and having different opinions and expressing yourselves. I mean, perfect example tonight. It's great to be able to be up here, express your opinion, and, the vote is called, and could be on one side or the other, and then you move on, and no one's screaming and yelling at each other, it's great. I had a professor in law school, and he used to say, everyone's entitled to an opinion, even if they're wrong. But personally, I don't think there's a right or wrong up here. I think it's you have your background from your culture, from your education, from where you were raised, that type of thing, and you perceive certain things in your own mind of how that kind of make up how you vote or how you perceive something on the agenda. So I people ask me, well, what's it like being on the commission? What's a big hot button issue? And it's not. There's just not a lot of infighting. There's not. Everybody's very cordial and very professional. So I guess I'm conveying my appreciation and thanks. It's great working with you guys. So thank you.
Wow. A lot of love tonight. I just say, hey, I just say it's great working with all you too. And, it's sometimes we're on one side and sometimes we're on the other. I thought you were going to say everyone's entitled to what did you say? Everybody's entitled to opinion, even if it's wrong. I thought you were going to say, but I'm always right and you guys are always wrong. But
I was just joking around.
No, I know.
That's what my professor used to say.
Yeah, no, so I respect your point of view, and I respect everyone's point of view, but I think we're all coming from a good place. And I'll just echo what everyone said. I mean, the Christmas tree lighting, I think, was great. We had a lot of people out there in attendance. All of us were out there, and it's just very well received by the community. Props to, our city employees and Joe Cooper for doing a good job with the parade. And I want to thank everyone who came out to the mayor's breakfast. We raised a lot of money for a great cause and to help those people that are a little more needy and don't have the means to celebrate the holidays the way a lot of us get to. So that was nice to see a lot of support for that. That's all I have.
Next year at the mayor's breakfast, you have to bring cash from the bank, straight from the bank, that's wrapped.
I know, yeah.
Mayor Goldsmar did that. Okay. I'll talk about a few things real quick. Your next meeting is the 18th of December. You have a 6 PM audit meeting. The audit has been filed with the state, the fiscal year 22 audit, so it's at the state, and you will go over it on the 18th. We'll have food here, just like we did this evening, so you can come a little earlier and eat. There is a public meeting to discuss the Elm and Pine Street Service Area Replacement, which is a water and sewer job, and that is right here in this room on Tuesday, December 12th at 6 PM. So if anyone lives in that area, or really any part of town, and they want to learn more about water and sewer infrastructure and the project that's going on there, please come to the meeting. Someone said this earlier, but it is Ugly Sweater Meeting on the 18th, so please participate. And I want to take a brief second to talk about the Florida State Seminoles. But hold on.
Wait, Matt, come on.
No, hold on. You're all going to be shocked. You're all going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked. Because I'm not talking about what you think I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that when we were in this meeting tonight, the women's soccer team won their 3rd national championship in the last 6 years, and they beat Stanford 5-1. So that's what I want to talk about. There's no other sports-related Florida State Seminole discussions, just that.
Good job.
That's all I have.
Oh, you got, all right.
There's nothing else to talk about.
Isabella?
Thank you, Mayor. There are some legislative updates that will be written updates that are forthcoming. I did feel that one change out of this special legislative session is worth mentioning in a public meeting. That is that the last regular session, SB 250, regarding the restrictions for municipalities and counties within 100 feet, within 100 miles of being affected by Hurricane Nicole and Hurricane Ian. Safety Harbor was debatably used to be included in that. The legislature has acted, and Pinellas County and all of its municipalities, including Safety Harbor, were no longer included. So we are no longer have to abide by any of those restrictions. So I think that is worth mentioning.
Can I piggyback on that real quick? I have a feeling it's going to be a very active legislative session. There have already been 2 bills filed over the weekend, one dealing with short-term rentals and one dealing with local business taxes and repealing the ability for any local governments to collect local business taxes. So those are 2 that were just filed this weekend. And the local business one is on a fast track. It's usually heard by 3 committees. This one's only scheduled to be heard by 2 committees. So buckle up. I know we don't really get started till January, but I have a feeling it's going to be a very busy legislative session in Tallahassee. So that's all I have. Sorry to go back. I pulled a Nancy and grabbed it back.
Just to be clear, the bill that I spoke, that was signed into law, that was from a special session.
Sorry.
That was from a special session, no, but Matt is correct, it's going to be very busy for the regular legislative session, which are the bills that have been filed that Matt was speaking about. So I agree.
I'll send you guys more info on that. I want to read them first before I send them to you, but I'll send them to you. That's all I have. Sorry.
Just checking.
I'm good.
All right.
We're not going to talk about the Seminoles anymore. 5-1 soccer score, not bad.
That is good, yeah, I'll have written
Yeah, really good.
updates, but I felt like that was good enough news to share.
Very good, very good.